For Sunday, May 1st, you've found the Georgia Gang. And topping our agenda this morning, the governor is busy signing a raft of bills and new laws. Delta will stay put at Atlanta Hartsfield Jackson, and the left gets angry while the right stays peaceful. Some of the stories up for grabs on the Georgia Gang.
From the Fox 5 studios, the Georgia Gang starts now.
And good morning. We're glad you could be with us. We begin with the bitter and the sweet. The bitter, of course, the deaths of 4 University of Georgia students on a highway near Watkinsville. And I think my friend Phil summed it up best when you said, all we can say about a tragedy like that is we're all bulldogs, which is exactly what Governor Deal said, by the way. That's the bitter. The sweet, the Hawks have advanced in the NBA playoffs, and they will play the Cleveland Cavaliers again and LeBron James.
So in the sense,
yes, it was great to beat the Celtics for only the second time in the franchise's history. But, you know, the bad news is his name is LeBron James.
Right.
And Kyrie Irving.
That's right. You want to talk about some more bad news? I went to the Braves game last Tuesday, 11-4. The first inning, they were shattered. So what is it? I think they're the worst in terms of runs and homers in the majors.
Runs and home runs, yes.
Well, and they're on track, and I know it's early in the season, but they're on track to have the worst record ever.
Yes.
And they're on track to eliminate the traffic problem.
Well, while we're completely off script.
Nobody's going to come see you.
While we're all completely off script, okay? We're just off. Let's bring that up. My old friend Mark Bradley in the AJC, a terrific sports columnist, and an old friend.
Yeah.
He's calling for the firing of Freddie Gonzalez, the Braves manager. Really? Please.
Yeah,
what did Freddie do?
Right.
He didn't pick the players. Hey, I mean, Freddie's just pushing buttons out there.
Can he rebuild the team is the question.
That's the question.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's
the low budget Braves, and you know what, that Bloomberg story last week, that didn't help them either.
You sent that around, and for all you sports fans out there, if you haven't seen it, Google Bloomberg News and see about how the Braves are in the real estate business.
Right.
Not the baseball business.
And in Cobb County.
All right, well, I don't remember ever on this broadcast getting that far off track. Let's try to get back on track, because this week at the governor's office, there was a raft of bill signings. I think he used several refills on his pen, and we're going to go over them briefly, each one, but I want to make an overall remark. When you look at the bills he signed, Saving Rural Hospitals, the rape kit bill, kinship care, which is funds for grandparents for raising children, and food stamps for felons and criminal justice reform. Is this a Republican or a Democrat?
Hey.
Is that a Republican General Assembly or a Democrat General
I will
Assembly?
say, as a longtime conservative, you know, there's compassion and conservatism.
True.
And I don't have a problem with some of the rural hospital tax breaks.
I don't either.
With the rape kit. I don't have a problem with what you're talking about. I'm not sure.
It must be Sunday morning.
And I know you always like to slam the right as having no compassion, but it's a myth.
Well, on top of that, he does have Democratic roots, doesn't he?
He was, yeah, sure.
And all the legislators
let's just get to the bottom of it.
These are common sense bills if you want to go down
They
there.
are common sense bills, but we also have a governor who is politically independent, who's not running again, and can pretty much do what he wants to do, right? He can get censored, for instance, for vetoing the RIFA bill, the Religious Freedom Bill, and get away with that, and quite possibly may do the same thing with campus carry. We'll see.
He has to be careful, Jeff, as you know, with rupturing relations with the legislature, because he's still got to govern, and he's still got another couple years and do budgets. So there is a filter.
And he wants to do education reform.
He wants to do education reform, so he's got to. That's a good point, Dick. He's got to make nice to the leaders.
Right, and to the legislators' credit, they passed these bills that he is signing. So
that's right. The true conservative ones are Renee Unterman's bill for help for young teens or young women who are pregnant. That pregnancy crisis centers get the funds. That's a good thing. Food stamps for felons, I'll just never.
Well, now we're talking about
buy into that.
We're talking about in his criminal justice package. It was for first offenders. So this is part of his criminal justice package that it does enjoy bipartisan support.
And really, it's going to be part of the legacy of this governor, the extent to which he has reformed the criminal justice
I won't disagree, but a guy commits a crime. He goes to prison. We give him 3 hots and a cot. We feed him. We clothe them. We take care of their medical care. Then they get out. And now they get food stamps. We keep feeding them.
Well, you give them.
And in Virginia, you get to vote.
Well, that's bad.
As you should
That-
get to
that's
vote
bad.
here as well. Sure, you want to restore people's rights after they've paid their penalty. Why not?
I'm not in favor of restoring everybody's rights, especially rapists and murderers. But I will say, for first offenders, if they're trying to get back on their feet,
Exactly
if they're
right.
eligible, I don't have a problem if it's temporary.
The fact
Okay,
is,
well, that's all right.
in the
I'll go-
80s and
I'll go
90s,
with
we
you.
Right,
tilted.
and rapists and murderers can stay in jail or be dead.
Well, thank you.
Now-
Thank you you sound right wing today.
Now, on another bill the governor
Not
signed.
Martin Luther King Jr.
Another bill signed by Governor Nathan Deal was to allow Atlanta voters, Fulton County voters actually, a chance to vote, call a referendum, in the case of the city of Atlanta, to vote on an extension of the sales tax, or an addition to the sales tax, to provide $2.5 billion for MARTA expansion. And that would raise the city of Atlanta's sales tax to 8.5%. We're starting to look a little bit like New York, aren't we?
I agree with you. I agree with
But if the city voters want to expand MARTA, Kasim Reed has talked loosely about light rail around the Beltline.
Yeah.
You want to throw $2.5 billion at that? That's what they want to do. That's fine, isn't it?
you. Let's see what the voters say.
Right.
And in
They're
North
gonna have to
Fulton,
have a choice.
I think that the voters are going to approve it. I think the people of the city of Atlanta realize the need for transit in the region and transit on the Beltline. I mean, let's look. This is a far-reaching project that you're talking about 30, 40 years out, right? It's sort of like that. I know you're going to talk about the Delta Agreement, which is also a 30-year deal, and that's what we see with this mayor: long-term deals that are going to really catapult this city forward.
Right, and I think with millennials, they're going to support it because they don't have any use for.
well, on the
Well,
other
they
hand,
have
though,
use
at
for
some point there
mass transit.
doesn't seem to be a tax that Atlanta voters don't like. And at some point, the city is so out of step with the rest of the region with all the taxes. Now, in North Fulton, the option exists because of Governor Deal. God, what's the matter with me this morning? Governor Deal's bill signing to have a referendum in North Fulton on road improvements.
Right.
Transportation.
Well, I mean, you know,
improvements.
when you do something like a sales tax,
'Cause
you
they
haven't,
don't
seen
wanna
any you haven't seen any property tax increases under Kasim Reed in the city of Atlanta.
That's
so
true.
when you do the sales tax, you got all these people coming into the city, all these suburbanites, right, coming into this relatively small city, spending money, going to the concerts and museums and things of that sort. It's not just city residents who are helping to fund these things.
But
No, I
hurting.
agree.
You are hurting the poor people, though, who
It
are
is- it
saddled
is a
with the high
regressive tax, that's
yeah,
for
who
sure.
have a high sales tax, and so North Fulton can, deal with that far better than, say, inner city Atlanta.
Well, and we've also one more City of Atlanta item before we get out of this segment. The city is seeking a $500 million grant to expand the streetcar,
Federal grant.
federal grant, the streetcar that no one's riding.
Right.
Apparently, it's empty most of the time.
Ridership was down 60% from January to March. It's a joke.
Well, that's
it isn't.
So they want to
isn't a joke.
expand it.
It
Well,
isn't
no
a
one's
joke.
riding it,
Again, I
Jeff.
mean, it's
A
again, it's
ghost
one of
train.
these. I know it. And you all just you only see what's right in front of you instead of what's 10 years out, 20 years out, 10 years out, 20 years out.
Right.
Streetcar is going to be very, very important and integral in the city's transportation system, transit system, especially once you get transit.
What
on the
makes you say
that? A very similar project in Detroit, built in the 1970s, which was wildly unpopular at the time. Everybody panned it, and right now it is the best thing happening in
We've got to
downtown
get out.
Detroit. That's why I say that.
We got to get out. But remember, the D.C. streetcar is still not operating. And most of the cities on Obama's giveaway list for the streetcars quickly gave the money back.
Well, you charge $1 and nobody wants to ride anymore.
Well,
yeah, so we're
that's-
gonna,
I think
how
that's
about,
part
how
of
about
the
a half a
transition
billion
from being it
to
free.
expand the ghost train, the cars riding down
And this is
Auburn
why
Avenue.
these federal grants, this is why you have a huge federal deficit.
That phase
it's
phase
not.
2 down Irwin Street to the Beltline, everybody will pay $1 to get there.
I hope
I hope you're right.
Yeah.
All right, when we come back, we will look at the airports where Jeff is right. Kasim Reed reached a very important deal for the city of Atlanta. Stay with us.
Have a question or comment for the Georgia Gang? Visit their website at fox5atlanta.com.
A moment ago, Jeff Dickerson argued that we should look long-term, that Kasim Reed who's trying to look 30 and 40 years out. And I will give him his due here. He's reached a deal to keep Delta Airlines in place and to expand the terminal. The finances apparently are agreeable to the giant airline and to the city. And there'll be no risk of threats and leaving and all that kind of thing. Tears were shed.
Yes, I think it's a good deal. However, my caveat is, and you've heard me say this on the gang for a number of years, we don't have the competition at Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. And Delta always fights. They're always going to fight, whether it's in Gwinnett County or Paulding County, a second airport. We have some of the highest fares in the country because of the lack of competition.
Well, part of the deal, as I understand it, is there won't be a second airport.
That's
Right.
what I
I
understand,
think now
too.
that's codified, right?
Right.
That's what
That was part of
I've
the
read.
deal.
And you know, somebody said to me, well, what was Delta going to do, move? And I said, yeah, they could.
Sort of like the Braves. Yeah, they could have moved, and they didn't move.
Because actually,
and not only that, but they've agreed to keep their headquarters in Atlanta for the
Right.
next 20 years, with a 10-year extension, possibly 30 years. I mean, this is great for the city of Atlanta to have an anchor, a corporate anchor like that in this city, and to have this deal inked, and to know that over the next 30 years, you know, we're going to have this major employer, 30,000 employees, the largest employer in Atlanta, and we want to keep them here. And I, you know, salute the mayor for being able to keep them here, and for having the kind of relationship that he's had
you know,
with Richard
Delta could
Anderson.
easily have moved
Richard
to-
Anderson has been a terrific corporate citizen, and not just in terms of the two of them sitting down
No,
and working out
I
this
disagree.
deal, but also, you know,
Helping.
pension reform and all the work that he's done with the Atlanta Committee for Progress and the Metro Chamber and other groups around, civic groups around town. He's been an excellent
Richard Anderson
corporate
has been
citizen.
an excellent corporate CEO of a major airline. He's definitely the leader in American aviation. His social policies are destructive to the core of any city or state. And he would have moved, because if you read his columns in the Delta magazine, his highest priority seems to be sponsoring gay parades around the country. So
Well-
my theory
Wow.
is he would have moved the airline to whoever had the biggest parade for gays.
I will
That's-
say this, I think there's an incoming
outrageous,
CEO.
Dick, and don't say things like
Thank
that.
goodness Anderson's being replaced in June.
Yeah, but to a guy who gives money to Hillary Clinton.
Well, I think that he will
Which is
be a
also
little
a good
better.
thing.
You know, a little better. Ed Bastian is who I'm talking about.
Oh,
the
no,
new
I'm talking
CEO.
the other guy.
But-
The guy who's going to come up under Bastian.
Okay.
He's a big Hillary Clinton supporter.
Okay, I'm talking about Ed Bastian
But
as the new
clearly, it's a
CEO.
good deal. It includes $6 billion worth of renovation and new 6 runways.
Oh, it's a good deal.
I mean,
It's a good
amazing.
deal, but no competition.
It's a great deal.
Well, I don't look. There are only 4 airlines now. What are we going to do?
Well,
Yeah.
you know what? I think we ought to have every other major city in America has a second airport, and it just helps.
Yeah, I agree when the proposal's proper. All right, let's turn to a little more mundane thing than 30,000 jobs and all the rest of it. I'm fascinated by the city of South Fulton business. That's another thing. Governor Deal signed this week, allowing the people who are not incorporated in South Fulton to vote on whether they want to become a city. It appears to me that Kasim Reed is openly opposed to this. He would like to annex it for the city of Atlanta. But I found out this week that some people I really respect are behind the scenes in the city of South Fulton movement. So maybe it's more serious than I thought. I didn't think it was going to happen.
Well, there's also a court case here, too. I think the mayor really would like to annex this area. He's made no bones about it, and he's written a letter touting, you know, the benefits of the city. So the voters are going to decide on this again, and I think it's going to be close.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what happens. But, you know, it was put up for a vote, what's it, in 07 or something?
lost.
And it lost. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how much
Yeah.
has changed and how attitudes have changed, if
Absolutely,
they have.
and you've got a lot of pro-Atlanta people in that area who would like to be a part of the city of Atlanta, and so it's not a
Well,
done deal.
Kasim Reed's trying to attract the businesses, right? But one of the sticking points is, if you vote to go into the city of Atlanta, do you now have to use the Atlanta Public Schools, or can
That's-
your children stay in the Fulton
That's the
schools?
sticking
And
point.
that's the sticking
That's
point.
right.
And then we'll see how that plays out. Now in DeKalb County, I thought this was going to be a monumental day. I thought this would be the day that I would say I agreed wholeheartedly with convicted felon John Evans, head of the DeKalb NAACP. He had come out earlier this past week opposing DeKalb's E-Splosh, that's the special purpose sales tax for schools. And then he reneged and blamed the AJC for printing lies.
Well, no.
I read his letter.
First of all, the AJC didn't print a lie. As we all know, they committed an error, and they've done that many times
No, he
over the
wrote a
years.
letter
No,
opposing
he wrote
the
a
East
letter,
Blast.
and the letter at no point says that he opposed it. He asked for more transparency. He did not oppose it in the letter, and he wanted to make that clear to the AJC, and I think that he did so. At no point did the NAACP ever say that it opposed. They wanted more clarity. They wanted more transparency. They asked for that transparency from the school district, and they got it, and that's why they clarified.
Well, I read the letter too, Jeff, and you may be right. It didn't use the word oppose.
Right.
But it stated all the arguments being used against the East Blast on the grounds that it is unconstitutional. He didn't use that word.
He didn't use that word either.
But
he asked for a
there's no
continuation of
transparency.
projects under East Plus 4, and the district has made clear that funds for East Plus 4 won't go to East Plus 5, but will finish and they'll complete that project list.
And the bottom line is, you're right, the AJC screwed this up.
I don't think so.
I
They
think
could
that
have they had to clarify
they
it.
used a single word that was not used in the letter, and that was
That's right.
opposed.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
All
a
right,
screw
so
up.
now also in DeKalb County this past weekend, the opposing forces gathered at Stone Mountain Memorial Park. There was supposed to be a, quote, white power rally. It turned out to be maybe a dozen and a half people. Is that what it was? Was it 2
Right.
dozen?
Right.
And they were behind barricades and they waved Confederate battle flags.
There actually were 3 rallies, Dick. There was one with the nuts, the bigots, some of the Klan types. Then you had those who actually don't want the Confederate flag used for racist purposes. They believe in heritage. And then there was this radical all-out Atlanta group. And they were the violent people. The far left went wild. They attacked the police. They set fires. They threw rocks. That's
They
a
threw a
disgrace.
smoke bomb, too. One guy got charged with a felony.
And interestingly, and this is so ironic when you talk about the Klan, the far leftists were charged with wearing masks.
Yeah, that
and 8
was
of them
pretty
were
weird.
arrested and one
There was
for
a
assault.
1951 law.
That's right.
That was an anti-Klan law.
That's Anti-Klan law.
It was so ironic that the
prohibits,
far left
use
got
of-
caught up.
And the unfortunate, I was out there for about, 6 or 8 hours on Saturday. In Stone Mountain Park, of course, is my client, and I was working because we knew that we were going to have these kinds of problems. This is not what Stone Mountain Park is all about on any given Saturday. You're walking up the mountain and there's this cacophony of foreign languages and people from all over the world, and it's just sort of a beautiful thing, it's really a place of conciliation,
And now you
not
get smoked
confrontation.
bombs.
Yeah,
you get
exactly.
smoke bombed.
We
gotta get out.
364 days of the year.
So you
it's a place
condemn,
of
you
Alexis,
conciliation.
speak up,
condemn, you
Alexis.
condemn
What-
the left.
last
on
thing.
this.
Well, I condemn the violence, and particularly with the Ku Klux Klan should not be allowed to have any kind of demonstration because they're a terrorist organization.
Well, I don't
and
think
should
they
be
were
so
out there. I don't think
designated.
there's anybody in robes
One of the
out
groups,
there.
No, there
one of the
wasn't.
groups that applied was a Klan group.
But there is the First Amendment right, and the Supreme Court has upheld. I don't care if you're a communist or a Klansman or some nut.
if you're a terrorist organization, you go
well,
to Guantanamo.
then you
All right, we
arrest
gotta get
them.
out.
Then you arrest them.
The other thing is that, shoot, I forgot what I was going to say, Dick. You made
Well,
me
Sure, 'cause I
at
wrapped
some
you. I'm
point,
sorry.
we were expecting 2,000. They were on Facebook. They were trying to get a lot of white supremacists out there. They got 2 dozen. And at some point, I think that the very young folks who came to counter-protest need to learn to ignore the irrelevant.
The other
because
thing-
clearly,
Well,
if you,
Thank
all
you.
you
Okay,
can do
I
is
got
see
to
doesn't
my
people.
point.
Here's my
Jerry,
problem.
I
Thank
agree
you.
with you.
The other
All right,
part
we
is
gotta
that
get-
the legislation needs to be changed to change the park to not just commemorating the
Well, you-
Confederacy, but the entire South.
Well, you can deny a permit
Stop.
to
We gotta
people
get
that
out.
have violence.
I want to rag on President Obama. You're killing me here. All right, when we
talk
come
some
back,
more.
politics.
Have a question or comment for the Georgia Gang? Visit their website at fox5atlanta.com.
So we'll do the national part of politics very quickly. In fact, I'll just do it. Hillary is going to be the Democratic nominee. The Donald is going to be the Republican nominee in all likelihood. That's the story. I don't think it's going to change. Let's look at Georgia politics because we have this May 24th primary right on top of us. Today's May 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're 23 days. Is my math good?
That's it.
From a primary. And I don't think people are aware they're going to be going back to the polls this quickly. I think they're still fixated on the
Well, they are
presidential
locally. Let
primaries.
me tell you, they are locally. I mean, there's signs all over Georgia
Yeah.
for hot local races.
Campaign
Yeah.
So-
The candidates know that there's going to be a race on the 24th. The question is, do the voters
Well,
know?
okay, it's gonna
and not
be-
only that, but the importance.
it's
of
gonna
it.
be
There's
low
some very
turnout.
important.
It's gonna be
races.
low
Well, the race that
turnout.
one of the races we're following here is the race for DeKalb District Attorney, and this week another move. Sherry Boston, the solicitor who's challenging Robert James, got the endorsement of Congressman Hank Johnson, one of his rare public comments, and he endorsed Sherry Boston.
Yeah, she is really racking up the endorsements and the momentum in that race. But again, you know, it's all about turnout, whether or not people are paying attention to that very important race, and others in DeKalb County and around the metro area.
Well, it is, and just very quickly, you know, in Gwinnett County, the longtime sheriff, who I think has been a great sheriff, Butch Conway, has got a primary May 24th. You've got some very important judicial races all over the state that I hope voters are paying attention to. I don't know about you guys, but my mailbox is flooded with all sorts of flyers, and I hope people are studying the records of these judicial candidates, because those are nonpartisan, but you have to really study for those races.
Yeah, you're right. And I hate to admit this, because I have to cover this. I have to report on all this. We're 3 weeks out, and I haven't even got a campaign guide organized. I haven't got all the races cemented in my mind.
You better get that done.
So we've got to get
it's
that
time.
done.
Yeah.
Johnny Isakson has a challenger for the U.S. Senate, right?
Jim Barksdale, he's finally appeared to the media and finally has spoken.
That's right.
It shows how weak the Democrat
But
Party
more
is
to
for
the
this guy.
more to the point, Isakson this week introduced his VA reform bill. It's a tough bill, and all it does, it's something that's necessary, and I hope he gets it through, and I think he will. But it reminds us of the failings of the Obama administration, who still has done nothing really about that scandal in the VA.
No, they
It's
haven't
up to
done.
Isakson to fix it.
Well, that's not true. And plus,
No one's been fired.
well, the problem is that we have so many more returning veterans, like hundreds of thousands of them. And whose fault is that? Who got us into this
The
crazy
They didn't see that coming?
The
13-year-old
system
war?
should be able to absorb it, and everyone should have seen that coming. And I blame both Bush and Obama
with
for
the
some of this.
sequestering
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
the Congress forbidding any budget increases.
We got to
So-
get out. I think,
Come
to
on.
me, the biggest political story of the week was the economy. The administration announced that the GDP growth in the first quarter was 0.5%. Now, make a note of this. President Barack Obama becomes the first president in history not to enjoy a single month of 3% growth in his presidency.
And the first
in other
president
words,
to have 14.4
he has given us the
million
new
jobs.
normal, and it's called
years, yeah.
7 years of recession. All right, when we come back, winners and losers.
Time now for the week's winners and losers.
And we will begin with you, Jeffrey.
Thank you so much. Winners are Kasim Reed and Richard Anderson for inking that very historic and significant deal out there at the airport. And my loser is going to be Dennis Hastert, the former Speaker of the House, who was jailed for 15 months for molesting some folks on his wrestling team some time ago, some young
Minors.
children,
Awful.
minors. The other one, Ted Cruz. John Boehner gave a speech at Stanford and said that he was Lucifer in the flesh.
Yikes.
Call him a miserable SOB.
That's right.
Strong language. Woo-hoo.
When you leave office, you can speak truth to power, I guess.
I guess you can.
And Ted Cruz, by the way, says he's never met with him or worked with him. Anyway,
But he was his lawyer 7 years ago, so that's interesting.
go
too.
ahead, Alexis.
All right, I want to salute Horace Ward again, a federal judge, first black federal judge in Georgia. He was part of the team that got Charlene Hunter Galt and Hamilton Holmes admitted to the University of Georgia, and he was
After being denied
himself to law school.
He passed
Last time
away.
I saw him was at Bill Shipp's 80th birthday party, our own Bill Shipp. So
He was a
turned out for
terrific
that.
gentleman.
And yeah, he was wonderful. Also, I want to salute the High Museum for the Driscoll Prize dinner they had this weekend, and also the Historic Southview Preservation Foundation had a fundraiser this weekend. So congratulations to both of those organizations.
Thanks, Alexis. Philip.
You know, I've got a winner, the legendary Georgia defense lawyer Bobby Lee Cook. You may have seen where he was given a Lifetime Achievement Award by the Southern Center for, was it Human Rights, Alexis? And I thought that was merited. And I wanted to make a loser last week, and I want to squeeze it in, Dick. It's the Atlanta Public School System's buses. You may have seen that story a couple weeks ago where a third of the buses are unreliable, and Superintendent Maria Karstarfin says we've got to fix that. That's got to be #1 priority.
DeKalb's doing the same thing, by the way, in the bond issue, the school tax issue.
That's right. So there is some specificity
All
there.
right, I want to mention Chuck Moore, the longtime anchorman here at Channel 5, back in my era on local television. Chuck came here from Kansas City, had a good run, then went over to another station in Atlanta. He died this week in South Carolina. I hope he found the golf courses that he always loved. And I'm going to call out UGA, your alma mater, Phil.
Right.
Signing a contract with Ludacris to play the spring game. And in that contract, a university agrees to give Ludacris a box of condoms and bottles of Belvedere vodka. It was an afternoon concert.
I didn't know that one.
Really, it was in the contract, and somebody signed it. And finally, let's talk about Denmark. The socialists over there now want to put a tax on red meat because it's causing global warming. Can't make the stuff up, folks. See you next week on the Georgia Gang.
The opinions expressed in this broadcast are those of the panelists appearing in this program.